Hi everybody, my name is Lynn Ismael and welcome to my channel. I'm a home gardener in southwestern Ontario, zone 6A/5B, depending on how cold our winter gets. I mainly grow cut flowers just because I realize that I like watching the flowers grow and then bringing them in and arrange them for my own enjoyment in my house. Today, I'm gonna attempt to make an arrangement. Now, I'm not a florist. I'm learning to arrange flowers better. So since this is the first time I'm doing this type of video, who knows? It could be a fail, but whether if it's a fail or if it's a success, at least you're gonna learn along the way, maybe. Don't have much of a studio to do a filming setup, but here are the flowers from my garden. Feverfew, forgot the name of the variety. Some coreopsis. I cut them when they were this stage. My focus camera. I cut them when they were in the bud stage, and then they open up like this. So in theory, because it's not pollinated, it should last longer. I have some yarrow. This is the wild variety. It's a weed that somehow found itself in my lawn and then just let it grow. This is a gypsophila, this pinky, dainty pink flower. And I think the Kersemina. This is the first time I'm trying them. Some shrub. It's a spirea. I like how it looks like the yarrow here, just a little bit pink. Some Matucana tendrils. It's a sweet pea. There you go. I cut them as a tendril because they last longer in vase. And this one is a new. I'm testing it. I just want to see how long it lasts in the vase. It's penstemon, the Mystica variety. I winter sowed it last year, so I didn't do anything last year. And today, well, this year is when it bloomed. I got some couple of salpiglosses. So it almost looks like a petunia. You see that? Almost looks like a petunia, but some nice variation. So I don't know how long. It's got pretty decent stem length. Just don't know how long it will last in the vase. There. And then I got some ranunculus in the mix as well. I thought I would go with that meadow indoors look. So a mixture of different stems that mingle together like they're in a meadow. So I got this, it's a pot that has plugged drain hole with some chicken wire as my mechanic, with some water, and yeah. So let's arrange some flowers. I got this floral tape from Amazon. It's about 1/4 inch in width. So it's a lot easier to work with compared to just getting a regular sized Scotch tape and cutting them yourself. So this is all pre-cut and easy to make grids, just to create more security for the chicken wire inside the vessel, and also to help keep the stems up. And this is when I found out that it's leaking. Well, change of plans. I'm gonna use a bowl instead. I like to add flower food in the water before I make any arrangements, just to make sure that the flowers last longer. And here I am trying to form the chicken wire into a piece that will fit on the bowl. Then add some floral tape just to secure the chicken wire in the bowl, and also to add more crisscrossing lines that will help the floral design structure to be more secure. I found that this tape worked better in ceramics and glass as opposed to plastic, which was the surface I was using earlier, before I realized that it was leaking. So this is a feverfew. In my garden, it has perennialized. I planted these last year and now they're big clumps. On hindsight, I should have Chelsea chop them so I would have a succession of feverfew, but I didn't get around to do it, or I didn't even think about doing Chelsea chopping for feverfew, because it would have been nice to do some succession of feverfew stems instead of a big handful of feverfew all at once. Here I am just trying to figure out how I want my arrangement shape to look like. And that's why I started with putting feverfew first, because the stems are strong and they add structure, or at least they give me a sense of how I want the arrangement structure to look like in the end. So it's just trial and error. See what kind of shape you feel looks best. I moved the camera closer just because I was using it too as a mirror, because I couldn't see what the front looked like without turning it. So moving the camera closer, you can see the details of what's happening so far, and I could also see what it looks like on the other side. Now I'm here adding some spirea flowers. Gabriela Salazar from La Musa de las Flores mentioned that she likes adding some structure at the base to cover the chicken wire and to create some texture as a base. She usually likes to use yarrow, but I don't have my yarrows up yet aside from the native yarrow, and it doesn't have that flat umbel look that I was going for. So the spirea works well for that purpose. Now I thought I could use the bent or curved stalk to help create that cloudy look on the base. So that was what I was trying to do here. I did plant a lot of stalk this year, and for the most part, half of it turned out great. They were all fluffy and double, just like this one, except that I didn't put them on support, some type of netting support, so some of them were bent, which was all right. I find them interesting, and I'm not relying on selling them to florists anyway, who prefers the flowers to be really straight, just because it's easier to work with. I can still find use to them. Plus they're edible too, although I've never tasted them. My idea was to use the stalk as a trailing plant for the bottom. Just kind of tricky to use the Lazy Susan with them trailing on the table. Here I'm adding some Matucana tendrils with some flowers. I think, well, they have self-seeded in my garden, and they're usually just hardy to zone 7, which my garden is zone 6. So I think either we had a very mild winter, or because we live close to the lake, that the lake effect kept my garden warmer than it should be. I do love sweet peas, and it just adds that airy texture to an arrangement. Plus it's really scented. Here's the Mystica penstemon that I'm adding. That one didn't do well in the, I guess it wasn't touching the water in the container, so it wilted, so I didn't use it. Now here's the Sulpic glosses, the one that looks like a petunia. They are hardy. I planted them April 1st, and there were a couple of times that I left them uncovered and they survived frost. So next year I'll be planting more of those. And here's the Coreopsis. I just felt like it needed a little bit of yellow, although this is not the type of shade of yellow that I would have preferred. I didn't have any pale yellow. But I do like the tall structure of the Coreopsis. And if this Coreopsis lasts long in the vase, then that's getting me excited, because I could use a lot of those. Now here's some salvia. I think this is Cardona salvia that I gathered from my garden. They tend to do what snapdragons do, that if they were stored bent, they would get curvy, which is all right. At this point, I was happy with how wild the arrangement is looking. So at this point, I decided to add the focal flowers. And the focal flowers I'm using is ranunculus. I only planted 20 out of the 40 corms I got, just because it was my first time growing them, and I wanted to have a backup in case the first batch didn't fare so well. I took 3 out initially, but I felt that it needed more, so I got a few more to put on the arrangement, And in my eyes, arranging the focal flowers is like arranging people's heads in a group portrait. You don't want them, well, at least in my eyes, I didn't want them to be on top of each other. I tried to spread them around just so no focal flowers on top of the other. That makes more of a pleasing composition. Now this one I'm trialing is a potentilia that I grew from seed last year, and they look like mini GMs to me, so I'm hoping they have good vase life, because although they're short, when it comes to this type of arrangement, they're just the right size. It's a little bit of warm color, right, to a very cool toned arrangement. And my first aster, I think this is Matsumoto blue, something blue. And I thought I would add more Coreopsis just to balance out the arrangement, because I already have 2 Coreopsis in use, and I decided to put it right there. This is the Curcumina gypsophila, just a little sparkly element to the bouquet. I would want to grow more of those next year. A little bit tricky to germinate though. That's the problem with me this year. I grew a lot of varieties in small amounts just to see which ones I like, but it turns out I like them all, so I'm gonna have an issue trying to choose what to plant next year. So this was me trying to assess the overall structure. I like the left side, it's nice and wild. Just the stalk at the bottom, it wasn't feeling right to me, so here I am trying to soften it up by adding more feverfew. So this is my finished arrangement. So far I'm happy with how this is airy and flowing, but I'm not so sure about putting the bent stalk in that spot. But maybe I should have put a double bowl. See if that changes the look. All right, so if I had a raised bowl, it would look like this. I have to be careful though, because added decoration there. So, you know, not bad I suppose, but it's a work in progress. I really do like the color of this bougainvillea. I'm hoping that it's got a good vase life because it's really nice and dainty. Although it doesn't have a great stem length, but if you have a short vase to use, then it certainly adds to the arrangement. So if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't liked or subscribed to my channel yet, please do. It just helps other people find my content. I try to show up every Thursday. So until then, see you soon.